The night always comes silently, not with thunder, not with storms, but with a slow, creeping heaviness that settles inside the chest. Psychologists often say that childhood is the first world a human meets, the world that teaches whether life is safe or dangerous, warm or cold. But for many children, this world begins not with soft hands and gentle voices, but with shadows. Imagine a house where the lights are on, but the warmth is gone. A child sits in a dim corridor, listening to muffled arguments behind a half-closed door, or the heavy silence of parents who say nothing at all. The child does not understand the words, but understands the atmosphere, the tension, the distance, the absence. This is the first lesson of emotional loneliness. It doesn't require violence. It doesn't require screaming. It grows from indifference, a quiet, invisible kind of pain. Children in such homes often become ghosts in their own families. They learn not to disturb, not to ask, not to cry too loudly. Their world becomes a careful balancing act between hope and fear. Hope that someone will notice them, and fear that this hope will disappoint again. And the saddest part? A child always thinks it is their fault, because a child cannot imagine parents being wrong. So they decide, something is wrong with me. Psychologist Alice Miller once wrote, "When a child is forced to live without emotional resonance, he learns to live without himself." This is the beginning of inner darkness, the feeling of being present, yet invisible. What the child feels when attention is missing. A child without emotional connection does not just feel sadness. He feels emptiness, a strange, heavy emptiness that forms where love was supposed to be. It becomes a part of their personality, a silent companion that follows them into school, into friendships, into adulthood. They learn early not to rely on anyone, not to show weakness, not to ask for help, not to expect affection. These children often smile politely, do homework perfectly, behave like ideal kids because they believe that love must be earned. And when love does not come, they conclude they didn't earn enough. Comparing childhoods, caring parents versus emotionally distant parents. A child raised in warmth grows like a tree in spring, steadily, confidently, reaching for light. Such children develop a stable sense of self-worth. They know mistakes can be forgiven. They know they are safe. They know the world can be trusted. A child raised in emotional cold grows differently, not upward but inward. They curl into themselves like a plant struggling in a dark room, stretching desperately toward any glimpse of affection. Their roots grow in fear, not soil. Their branches shake even in light winds. Their emotions become unpredictable, too strong, or completely numb. It is not the child's fault. It is the absence of connection. A moment of compassion. Pause here for a second. Take a breath. Think about that small version of yourself, or of anyone who lived through this. A child sitting alone in a quiet room, waiting for footsteps that never come, waiting for a voice that never asks, "How are you?" That child deserved love. That child deserved to be seen. That child deserved better adults. The tragedy is not that the child was weak. The tragedy is that no one taught them they were strong. How a child tries to survive. Children in emotionally cold families find their own survival mechanisms. Some become perfectionists. Some become invisible. Some become angry. Some become clowns. Some become caretakers for their own parents. All these roles are armor, not personality. And with time, this armor becomes heavy, an example from real life. A young man once told his therapist, "When I was 7, I stopped asking my mother to play with me. She always said she was busy. One day, I waited in front of her door for an hour and realized she was never coming." He grew into an adult who apologized for everything, even when breathing too loudly in a room filled with strangers. This is how early emotional neglect becomes a lifelong habit, the habit of shrinking. A quote from a book. In John Bowlby's work on attachment, he writes, "The child's emotional bond with their caregiver becomes the internal model of all future relationships. If the bond is unstable, the future relationships will be unstable. If the bond is cold, emotional warmth will feel foreign. If the bond is absent, the person will doubt whether they deserve love at all." Film reference. In the movie Good Will Hunting, the main character Will acts strong, distant, sarcastic, but inside, he's the same child who never received stable love. In the most iconic scene, his therapist tells him, "It's not your fault." He repeats it until the words finally break years of emotional walls. As the child grows, the silence grows with them. It matures. It evolves. It becomes a part of their emotional DNA, a quiet code written between the lines of their personality. Many people think childhood ends at some age, but that's not true. Childhood ends only when someone finally feels safe. Those who never felt safe keep living with the same emotional rules they learned at 5, 6, 7 years old. How emotional neglect follows the child into teenage years. Adolescence is supposed to be a time of self-discovery, exploring identity, friendships, boundaries. But for a child who never had emotional support, the teenage years feel like walking through a forest without a map. Psychologically, such teens show common patterns. They don't trust their feelings because no one ever validated them. They don't trust people because early figures were inconsistent or absent. They try to be independent too early because they learned no one will help. They suppress anger or explode with it unpredictably. They react strongly to rejection because every no reminds them of childhood. 1. Chronic self-doubt. Every decision becomes a battlefield. They're afraid to be wrong because being wrong used to mean losing love. 2. Fear of abandonment. Even small conflicts feel like the end of a relationship. They expect people to leave because in childhood, people left emotionally. 3. Emotional numbness. Some adults describe it as, "I feel like a spectator in my own life." This numbness is a defense mechanism formed long ago. 4. "I can't, done with you dudes. All I got is done. Why don't you just do the battlefield my way? Not me getting lost in the bumper. And we have no way to break out of your. Just keep hanging out and don't expect to run you. I'm gonna get on this mic for your fucking support, don't worry. I'm gonna get it right now." Over responsibility, they feel guilty for everything, as they did when they were children. 5. difficulty accepting compliments or love. They don't believe they deserve it. Their internal voice says, "Why would anyone care about me?" Over-responsibility. A real example. A woman in her 30s once said in therapy, "I never asked for help. I learned as a kid that asking only leads to disappointment." She wasn't proud of this. She was exhausted by it. This is the adult result of a child who waited too long for someone to show up. A quiet war inside. Most of these adults appear strong on the outside, disciplined, polite, organized. But inside, they're fighting battles no one sees. Battles against loneliness, battles against self-criticism, battles against emotional hunger, battles against the belief that they are too much or not enough. Some channel their pain into achievements, others into relationships that repeat the same emotional patterns, others into silence, the same silence they grew up with. A quote from a psychologist, Donald Winnicott, studying childhood attachment, wrote, "There is no such thing as a self-made alone. The self is born in relationship. ... If there is no relationship, the self grows fragmented. The difference between two childhoods, but deeper comparison. Let's imagine two kids standing in the rain. The first child, when he cries, his mother kneels, wipes his cheeks, says, 'It's okay, I'm here.' His nervous system calms. His brain learns safety. His body learns trust. He grows up knowing emotions can be expressed, understood, and soothed. The second child, when he cries, his parent says, 'Stop it, don't bother me,' or worse, doesn't say anything at all. His nervous system stays in stress mode. His brain wires itself around fear. His body learns tension. He grows up believing emotions are dangerous and loneliness is normal. These two children will live in the same world, but experience two completely different realities. The first child will enter adulthood like a traveler prepared for the journey. The second will enter it barefoot, without a map, without tools. How a child tries to escape emotional neglect. Some teens try to find substitutes for missing affection. Friendships that turn into emotional dependency, first love that feels like oxygen, online communities where they feel seen, fantasies of running away and starting a new life, creative escapes, writing, music, drawing. These are survival strategies, not weakness, not rebellion, survival. Because a teenager doesn't want luxury, they want connection. But here comes the turning point. Despite all these hardships, there is a moment for every emotionally neglected child when they realize, no one is coming to save me. This moment is painful, but this moment is powerful because it is the beginning of self-rebuilding. How to break the cycle for a teen or young adult. Here are the steps psychologists consider crucial. 1. Recognizing the truth understanding. "It wasn't my fault" is the first act of emotional liberation. 2. Reclaiming the right to have needs. Needs are not weakness. They are part of being human. 3. Learning emotional language. Words like hurt, confused, abandoned, angry become tools for healing. 4. Finding safe adults. A teacher, coach, older friend, therapist. Someone who gives what parents didn't. 5. Building internal safety through mindfulness, journaling. 10. Self-reflection or guided therapy. 6. Rewiring beliefs, replacing "I'm unworthy" with "I deserved love." even if I didn't receive it. A symbolic, artistic moment. Imagine a teenager standing on the rooftop of a building at night. City lights below, wind brushing the skin, silence everywhere. He realizes he has two choices: to carry his childhood like a chain or to carry it like a lesson. This moment does not solve everything, but it begins something. A new identity. Adulthood arrives quietly, not with fireworks, not with celebrations, but with bills, responsibilities, relationships, expectations, all the things a person must face, even if they never learned how to face themselves. People who grew up without emotional connection often become adults who look stable from the outside. They may have jobs, families, routines, and achievements. They know how to survive. Childhood taught them that well. But inside, they carry the same emotional hunger they had as children, only now is hidden under layers of dignity, politeness, and silence. How emotional neglect shapes adult life. Many adults don't even realize their childhood shaped them. But psychology has a quiet, persistent truth. The child you were is the adult you become, unless you consciously rebuild yourself. Adults with emotionally cold childhoods often experience boom. 1. Fear of emotional closeness. The moment someone gets too close, panic arises, because closeness once meant disappointment. 2. Confusing love with anxiety. They mistake peace for boredom and drama for connection. Calm relationships feel foreign. 3. Overreacting to rejection. A delayed message feels like abandonment. A neutral tone feels like anger. Their body remembers childhood, even when the mind does not. 4. Attracting emotionally unavailable partners. Because the mind seeks what is familiar, not what is healthy. Familiarity feels like home, even when home was painful. 5. Chronic loneliness, even in a room full of people, even in a relationship, even in a family. A real-life example, one man described his marriage by saying, "My wife loves me, but I still feel alone, not because she's cold, but because I never learned how to feel loved." This sentence breaks something inside because it reveals a deep truth. Some people are not unloved. They are unable to receive love. Not by choice, by conditioning. The turning point, understanding the wound. Psychologists say emotional neglect is like having an invisible scar. You don't see it in the mirror, but it changes how you move through life. Fear of emotional closeness. The moment someone gets too close, panic arises. Because closeness once meant disappointment. To heal, a person must do something extremely brave. They must look at their inner child, the small, scared, ignored version of themselves, and acknowledge its existence. Most adults avoid this, not because they don't want to heal, but because healing requires confronting the very loneliness they spent their entire childhood escaping. How an adult can break the cycle. Healing is not easy, but it is possible. There's a process many therapists use, often called reparenting yourself, becoming the adult you needed as a child. 1. Naming the childhood truth. Saying out loud, "I wasn't given what I needed," is not blame. It is recognition. And recognition is the beginning of healing. 2. Allowing emotions to exist. Adults often push away sadness, fear, anger, but these emotions are not enemies. They are messages. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. 3. Setting boundaries. This is hard for people who were raised to not disturb. But boundaries are not walls, they are doors. They protect your emotional home. 4. Learning healthy relationships. It feels strange at first, uncomfortable, too calm. But slowly, the nervous system adapts to warmth. 5. Seeking support. Therapy, support groups, close friends, any safe connection. Because healing happens in relationships, not in isolation. 6. Choosing not to repeat the pattern with your own children. This is the most powerful step. Not perfection, presence. A child doesn't need a perfect parent. They need a present one. A scene from a film. In the movie A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, there is a moment where the main character meets someone who simply listens to him, fully, without judgment. It is the first time in his life someone gives him emotional space. He breaks down, not from pain, but from the realization that he no longer has to carry everything alone. Healing often begins like this, not with shouting, not with grand transformations, but with a quiet moment of being seen. A quote from a scientist, neuroscientist Daniel Siegel wrote, "When we are not seen, we cannot see ourselves. When we are not soothed, we cannot soothe ourselves." This is why adults who grew up without affection often fight inner storms they cannot calm. They never learn how, but they can learn. The brain remains flexible. Neural pathways can be rewritten. Trust can be rebuilt. Safety can be learned, no matter how late. A symbolic, artistic moment. Imagine an adult standing in their childhood home, long abandoned by time. Dust on the floor, shadows on the walls, old memories resting in the corners like forgotten books. They walk slowly through the rooms, touching objects from a life long gone. In the smallest room, their childhood room, they notice something, a feeling, a presence. Not the parent they wished for, not the comfort they missed, but the child they once were, sitting quietly, waiting. The adult kneels down. The child looks up. For the first time in decades, they meet. And in that meeting, something shifts. A recognition, a release, a rebirth. This is where healing begins, not in forgetting the past, but in finally acknowledging the part of you that lived through it. Some stories end in darkness, but this one does not. This one begins in darkness and ends with a decision. Because pain is not the enemy. Pain is the message. Pain is the evidence that something inside you is still alive, still fighting, still refusing to disappear. The adult who rises from the ruins. When a person finally understands their childhood wounds, something powerful awakens in them. Not weakness, clarity. Not victimhood, vision. Not despair, direction. Psychologists say that the moment a person stops running from their past is the moment they start shaping their future. It's as if the adult steps out of the shadows, holding the hand of the child they once were, saying, "You are not alone anymore. I am here now." This is the true beginning of strength. How to rise above a painful childhood? There is no magic formula, no secret ritual, but there is a process, a path forged by those who walked through darkness and refused to collapse. Rewriting the internal narrative. The story you tell yourself becomes the life you live. If your inner voice says, "I am broken," you will move like someone broken. If you say, I was wounded, but I am rebuilding myself, your entire psychology shifts from victim to creator. 2. Learning to hold your own emotions. Not running, not suppressing, not apologizing for them. Just holding them, the way no one held your emotions in childhood. This is emotional adulthood. This is how trauma turns into wisdom. 3. Breaking generational chains. You don't heal only for yourself. You heal so that your future children never have to carry the same weight. Every healed adult becomes a better parent than the one they had. Not perfect, but aware, present, emotionally awake. Breaking this chain is one of the greatest rebellions a human can commit. A dark psychological insight. Dark psychology does not mean manipulation or harm. It means understanding the hidden side of the mind, the instincts we try to ignore. Here is one such truth. People who hurt you once had the same fear you carry now. They were afraid of being weak, so they became cold. They were afraid of being abandoned, so they abandoned others first. Understanding this does not excuse them, but it frees you. Because once you understand the motivations of those who failed you, their power over you dissolves. You are not under their shadow anymore. A powerful mental shift. Imagine this. Your parents shaped your childhood, but you shape your adulthood. They gave you their fears, but you choose your identity. They wrote the beginning of your story, but you write every chapter that follows. This is the psychological point where people stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What can I build from it?" A moment of artistic symbolism. Picture an adult standing at the edge of a forest at night. Behind them, shadows, echoes, unspoken sentences, childhood wounds. Ahead, a vast field with no clear path. Uncertain, quiet, open. That's adulthood. Not a straight road, not a promised paradise, but a landscape you are free to shape. The person looks back one last time, whispers, "Thank you for the lessons, but you don't own me anymore." And with slow, deliberate steps, they walk forward, not running from the past, but walking toward themselves. A final psychological principle. Neuroscientists discovered something extraordinary. Healing isn't the removal of pain. Healing is the ability to move forward while the pain becomes wisdom. Your childhood may have been cold. Your teens may have been confusing. Your adulthood may have been lonely. But you are not finished. You are not defined. You are not trapped. Identity is not something you inherit. It is something you forge. The final motivation, the dark truth that becomes light. Every person who rises from a painful past carries something others do not. A deeper understanding of human behavior. A sharper awareness of emotional patterns. A stronger intuition. A resilience that is almost supernatural. People who were neglected in childhood develop a hidden strength. They know how to survive anything, and now they are learning how to live. Here is the final truth, one that psychologists rarely say out loud, but survivors know deeply. Your trauma tried to break you. Instead, it built the strongest version of you. This is not the end of your story. This is the moment everything finally begins.